Ok. Podem ver minha apresentação?
Muy bien.
Muy bien.
So, Andrés, should I speak in English, Português?
Whatever you feel more comfortable. If you Portuguese.
Well, I'll feel more comfortable in Portuguese, but I believe that in our past communications, you preferred that I spoke in English, isn't it?
No,
It's up to you.
It's up to you. Do it in Portuguese, no problem.
Okay, so maybe if you are not understanding something that I'm saying, I'll speak in English so that I believe that some people have more problem with Portuguese than we have with Spanish. Okay, so let me introduce myself. I'm Kildare Miranda, so I'm a professor at the Federal University of Rio de Janeiro. And I'm speaking on behalf of the Symposium. So I'm the current president of the Symposium, which is the Inter-American Committee of the Societies for Microscopy that Andres just mentioned, that he visited us in our last Congress, and we got in touch. And I, first of all, I'd like to thank you very much for this initiative. So I think it's the program is bringing a lot of people together. It's growing a lot, and it's very well organized. I'd like to mention that first. And I'm also talking on behalf of the Brazilian Society for Microscopy and Microanalysis. So our president, Marco Guimarães, is here, also attending to this meeting. And I'm currently working, I'm the vice director of the National Center for Structural Biology and Bioimaging at the Federal University of Rio de Janeiro, and also the director of the Advanced Microscopy Unit at our center. So we have, as I'm going to show you along my presentation, we have different microscopy centers and laboratories along the country. It's very hard to mention all the players in these centers. I just listed here the main potential players. Most of them here already developed continuous work on microscopy laboratories or centers, and are involved in different courses and in the different activities related to bioimaging. I won't have time to mention everyone, but what we have is in Brazil is the organization of a number of centers which contain heavy instruments and a large number of instruments. We don't have a national network as we have in Argentina. The Brazilian Society for Microscopy and Microanalysis is now trying to organize the main centers. So they opened a space on their website so that people could put their register their centers and provide information on the technologies that they can share with our community. And so here I listed only the main centers. As you can see, they are mostly concentrated in the south and in the southeast region of the country. So here we have the Centro de Microscopia at the Federal University of Minas Gerais, Rio Grande do Sul. We are in Rio de Janeiro, the Brazilian Center for Physics Research. So I'm talking about centers that have a large number of instruments and sophisticated instruments. But we have a lot of microscopes scattered all over the country, as I'm going to show you in the next slides. So I have to mention the Fiocruz, which is a national foundation that has instruments and platforms spread all over the country in their centers. So in Pernambuco, Bahia, Rio de Janeiro, in Paraná. So they have different research institutes in different places in Brazil, and have also some instruments dedicated to bioimaging there. And I would like to mention also two national institutes of science and technology from our federal government. So these are grants, not really physical spaces, but there are grants that are specific to develop imaging techniques related to structural biology and also bioimaging. One is INFABIC, which is coordinated by Professor Hernandes Carvalho. So it's a National Center for Technology, National Institute of Technology for photonics applied to cell biology. So they have a number of instruments and techniques that they develop, and the number of activities, courses, training of different people from different parts of the country and also abroad, as well as activities with schools and other partners. Also, we have here in Rio de Janeiro, our National Institute of Science and Technology for Structural Biology and Bioimaging, with the same purpose, but with a focus in other techniques. And to try to cope with this asymmetry that we have in the country, we recently, together with the State University of Amazon, we established the CMA Bio, which is a new microscopy center in Manaus, in the middle of the Amazon. So these activities, they have continuous support from the Brazilian Society for Microscopy Microanalysis, a number of scientific societies as the FESB, the Federation of Societies for Experimental Biology, and the Brazilian Society for Cell Biology. So they are all involved with activities related to bioimaging. So this is just an example of our center here. We have different instruments. So the main centers that I showed to you, they have more or less this kind of structure, but focused on different expertises. For instance, the CNEPEM in Campinas, they have a state-of-the-art cryo-EM facility. Here at Senabio, we have different instruments also with cryo, but we consider ourselves as secondary nodes when we think about cryo-EM. But we do FIPSAM, we do a lot of other techniques. Here we are able to have capabilities to explore different techniques here, both on light and electron microscopy. So I showed you this before. If you have interest, you can see more details on the Brazilian microscopy landscape in this paper that we published a couple of years ago. But I would like to show just the distribution of the electron microscopy instruments in the country. As you see, most of them are concentrated in the southeast and south region, but we have a number of techniques spread all over the country, confocal, super resolution microscopy with different techniques, multiphoton, optical tweezers, and different cryo-electron microscopy. So we have different capabilities in different centers. And this brings me to my next slide. So these main centers are involved in the training courses. For instance, here's a workshop given by the INFABIC last year. And we have continuous support from different institutions that are always involved in different courses, focus on different subjects along these techniques that I just showed you. We have really an intense activity from a number of centers. I didn't have either the time or the knowledge to put all the centers that are involved. But we have small courses, sometimes in a lab that contains one instrument, so they give local courses, but we have also training and courses nationwide by the main instruments. And one of the things that we are working here is a graduate program for bioimaging and biostructure, which include the master's program or PhD program, and activities with students from elementary schools, linked to the National Institutes of Science and Technology and multi-user centers, scientific societies, and also focused programs to boost the knowledge exchange between these countries. So we used to have some grants, specific grants to improve these exchange activities with different countries from the Mercosur, and also activities with the native population, the Amazon region. So this is something that we think that we can improve a lot. So just a couple of slides to finish. I think that it's important to establish thematic primary and secondary nodes, not really establish that a single center should be a primary node and another center a secondary node. We have to have thematic nodes so that we identify expertises in different centers, and then they become primary or secondary nodes. And another thing that I think that we should think is not in bioimaging, not only for microscopy, but in a broad perspective. So for instance, in Brazil, we are just finishing our beamline, a new beamline, a series, which will have an X-ray microscopy line, so that we can bridge between different scales. So my last slide, I think that we should think our the main challenges. I think that we should think how to add value and recognition to the imaging scientists. What are the specific roles and what we should expect from the facility director, from the technicians, mechanisms of career promotion, autonomy and authority to make decisions and solve problems, not concentrating everything in the director, and so on. And what was already mentioned, maintenance of the infrastructure, remote access to the primary secondary nodes, and also an interdisciplinary collaborative network. So put together physicists, cell biologists, chemistry, and chemists, and etc. So this is what I wanted to share with you, and I'll be happy to answer questions. Thank you.
Muchas gracias, Kildare.
Gracias, Kildare.
Estoy mirando el chat, a ver si hay questions. Por ahora no veo ninguna. Kildare, desde la perspectiva, sorry, maybe I switch to English. From the perspective of the management of the big facilities, it's surprising for me the number of facilities and the number of instruments you have there is really unbelievable. From the perspective of the management, how you handle in Brazil with the fact that usually when you spend time and energy handling the management, you lose in some point your scientific career. So how you compensate this from Brazil in order to give to the people who is involved in this the right or the word recognition?
Yeah, so we don't. This is one of the problems. We don't compensate. What we have is that every time that you have someone involved with a center, directing a center, you have a compromise of their scientific career. And most of the times, this is not recognized by our institutions or the development of our career. And the same thing happens for the technicians and the technologists that work in the platforms. If they develop a new technique, if they are really dedicated to their work, we don't have any mechanism to have career promotion or to. This is something that I think that we should discuss in our network, how to add value to the imaging scientists, being a director, a coordinator, or a technician. I think that this is something that we have to discuss.
Okay, great. So thank you, Kildare. We are more or less in time, and I don't see any other question. If the people want to add question in the chat, Kildare, maybe if it's a row to you, maybe you can reply.